Hello and welcome to the Myschool channel. My name is Angela, and in this video we're going to be tackling the government JAMB pass question for the year 2024. Please stay with us, don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Myschool channel. Like I said earlier, we'll be tackling the government JAMB pass question for the year 2024. So in this video, we're going to be focusing on questions 1 to 25. Let's begin with question 1. The party system that Nigeria operated in the aborted Third Republic is A. Zero-party system, B. One-party system, C. Two-party system, and D. Multi-party system. So the answer to this question is option C, the two-party system. So the aborted Third Republic is the republic immediately after the second wave of military regime in Nigeria. It was during the time of Ibrahim Babangida. He was the military leader from 1985 down to 1993. People were pressuring him so that we can transition to civilian rule. And so, because of the pressure from the people, he decided to conduct an election. And he ruled that only two political parties should be allowed to contest during the election so that Nigeria will be a two-party system. So there were two political parties that were created during that time. The SDP, who had the presidential candidate MKO Abiola, and the NRC, who had the presidential candidate Alhaji Tofa. So these were the two political parties that contested for election during the aborted Third Republic. So this makes option C, two-party system, the answer to this question. Question 2. Delegated legislation can be regulated through A. Ministerial control, B. Legislative control, C. Executive control, and D. Judicial control. So the answer to this question is option B, legislative control. So delegated legislation or secondary legislation are laws that are made by other bodies apart from the legislature. So sometimes the legislature gives certain governmental bodies some power to create laws. The reason for this is that the legislature cannot make all the laws because there are certain laws that require specificity. That means it has to be specific to a particular region or a particular field or a particular sector of the economy. So the legislature needs to give parts of the executive some power to make laws. This is what delegated legislation is all about. And so the delegated legislation is regulated by the legislature. The reason for this is that although they make laws, these executive bodies make laws, they need to be under the scrutiny of the legislature. Once they make laws, the legislature has to go through these laws and ensure that they are up to standard. So the legislature continues to regulate the activities of these executive bodies that make delegated legislation. To know more about delegated legislation, you can watch our topic-by-topic video lessons in government under the topic processes of legislation. So, from the explanation, this makes option B, legislative control, the answer to this question. Question 3. The main argument against the 1999 Constitution is that A. It was imposed by the military, B. The executive have immunity clause, C. It is expensive to operate, and D. It did not create additional states. The answer to this question is option C. It is expensive to operate. So the 1999 Constitution rules that the government in Nigeria should be divided into the federal, the state, and the local governments. And so there is a repetition of functions at these different levels of government. At the federal level, you have the president and his ministers. At the state level, you have the governor and the commissioners. And at the local level, you have the local government chairman and the secretaries of the various departments under that local government. So this duplication of functions means that more costs will be incurred when running the government. Also, with the fact that the 1999 Constitution also rules for a bicameral legislature where you have the House of Senate and the House of Representatives, this is more cost for running of the government. So all of this shows that the 1999 Constitution is expensive to operate in the country. So this is the main argument against the 1999 Constitution. Although we have the immunity clause for the executive officials, it is not the main argument against the 1999 Constitution. So option C, it is expensive to operate, is the answer to this question. Question 4. Which of the following is a basic feature of the rule of law? Option A, secret trial of offenders, B, unlimited power of the executive, C, independent judiciary, and D, equality before the law. The answer to this question is option D, equality before the law. So the rule of law states that nobody is above the law or everybody is equal before the law. This definition also has three essential principles or three essential features. So when you're defining the rule of law, you have to discuss three essential features: equality before the law, the principle of impartiality. That means that nobody should be treated partially before the law. Everybody should have a right to fair hearing. and they should be granted fair judgments whenever their cases are brought before the courts. And then we have the third one, the principle of fundamental human rights, respect for the fundamental human rights of every citizen. So these are the three basic features of the rule of law. So equality before the law is one of the basic features of the rule of law. Option D is the answer to this question. Question 5. The collective views of the citizens on a specific national matter is A. Group opinions, B. Electoral opinion, C. Public opinion, and D. Collective responsibility. So the answer to this question is option C. Public opinion. Public opinion is the collective views of the citizens on an issue of national importance. So the views that are shared by majority of the citizens is what is referred to as public opinion. Option C is the answer to this question. Question 6. The productivity of public operations is believed to be enhanced when there is A. Increase in employment rates, B. Redeployment of staff, C. Increase in working hours, and D. Less political interference. So the answer to this question is option D. Less political interference. So public corporations are corporations that are designed to provide essential services for the citizens. They are owned and controlled by the government. The government creates public corporations to provide essential services to citizens. So public corporations become more productive when there is less political interference. Although they are owned by the government, the control of public corporations should be in the hands of people who have knowledge of that particular sector of the economy and not by the government. Because when it is controlled by the government, there will be a lot of regulations on this particular corporation and they will not be able to compete in the market fairly. So when there is less political interference, public corporations will be able to compete in the market. They will be able to provide quality services to the citizens and bring in profits at the end of the day, which can be reinvested into the corporation to provide better services to the citizens. So less political interference also helps to reduce corruption within the system. Option D, less political interference, is the answer to this question. Question 7. NEPAD stands for A. New Economic Programs for African Development, B. New Partnership for Afro-Asian Development, C. New Economic Partnerships for African Development, and D. New Partnerships for Africa's Development. So the answer to this question is option D. New Partnerships for Africa's Development. So the New Partnership for Africa's Development, or NEPAD, is an international organization. It is the branch of the African Union. It was created in 2001 to partner with other industrialized countries to help tackle the age-long crisis of the lack of economic development in Africa. So they partner with industrialized countries like Russia, China, the United States of America, the United Kingdom, and so on. So option D, New Partnerships for Africa's Development, is the answer to this question. Question 8. Under the Hausa Precolonial Administration, the office of the Prime Minister is usually occupied by A. Sarki, B. Waziri, C. Galadima, and D. Madawaki. The answer to this question is option B. Waziri. The Waziri is the Prime Minister in the Precolonial Hausa Fulani Empire. So he is in charge of all the officials within the palace, and he takes charge of every affairs that has to do with the governing of the empire. So option B. Waziri is the answer to this question. Question 9. Nigerian Ports Authority is an example of A. Civil service, B. Public service, C. Public corporation, and D. Maritime corporation. The answer to this question is option C. Public corporation. Again, public corporation is a corporation that is owned and controlled by the government and is designed to provide essential services to the citizens. So Nigerian Ports Authority is an example of a public corporation. The essential service that it provides to the citizens is the assistance in the unloading and offloading of imported and exported goods within the country. So option C, public corporation, is the answer to this question. Do you know you can take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past question? All you need to do is to go down to the link in the description below. This takes you to the Myschool website where you can download the Myschool mobile app for your Android devices and the Myschool software for your laptops and computers. Please go ahead and start practicing. Now to question 10. An agent in which the state undertakes direct political socialization is the A. Church, B. School, C. Peer groups, and D. Mass media. So the answer to this question is option B. School. School is the direct means by which the state engages in political socialization. So it is through subjects like government, civic education, and security education that citizens are indoctrinated into the values, the attitude, and the beliefs of the people within that state. So the state directly engages in political socialization, introducing the values, the attitudes, the beliefs of the people to the students or the pupils. So they usually engage in the creation of the curriculum for this subject, and they help to ensure that the proper instructions are given to the students within the school. So option B, school, is the answer to this question. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, please do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the notification bell to get informed as soon as we release the next videos. Question 11. The Nigerian youth movement pursued its objectives through the use of A, protest, B, newspapers, C, radio, and D, strike actions. So the answer to this question is option B, newspapers. So the Nigerian youth movement was one of the first political parties that was created in Nigeria. It was created in 1935 and had important figures like Ernest Samuel Ladoke, Akintola, and Ernest Ikoli. So they made use of the newspaper to inform people about their ideologies, their opinions about what was going on in the society. So the newspaper was the primary means by which they pursued their objectives in the colonial Nigerian society. Option B is the answer to this question. Question 12. Formation of political parties in Nigeria is one of the features of A, Littleton Constitution, B, Macpherson Constitution, C, Richard's Constitution, and D, Clifford Constitution. So the answer to this question is option D, Clifford Constitution. The Clifford Constitution was created and enforced in 1922. It was within this constitution that the right to create political parties within the Nigerian society was permitted. So this is when the first political parties in Nigeria were formed. The Clifford Constitution was after the reign of Lord Lugard. During Lord Lugard's time, Nigerians were not allowed to form political parties. Most of the decisions were made by the colonial masters, and there was little to no input from the Nigerian citizens. But with the introduction of the Clifford Constitution, Nigerians were now allowed to participate in the political activities of the country. Option D, Clifford Constitution, is the answer to this question. Question 13. The commander of the army under the Hausa Fulani Precolonial Administration was A, Waziri, B, Madawaki, C, Galadima, and D, Maji. The answer to this question is option B, Madawaki. The Madawaki is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces in the Hausa Fulani Precolonial Administration. Option B is the answer to this question. Question 14. The rationale behind the adoption of a federal system of government in Nigeria is to A, promote the autonomy of states, B, establish a powerful central government, C, create more states, and D, promote unity in diversity. The answer to this question is option D, promote unity in diversity. So the phrase unity in diversity is a very common phrase that was coined here in our Nigerian society. It was what was used to describe the rationale behind the creation of the federal system of government. So in a federal system, you have power divided between three tiers of government: the federal, the state, and the local. The reason for this is so that states can be autonomous. They can make decisions for themselves based on the tradition, the culture, and the religion within the society in which that tier of government is in, but they can still do so as a group. So we have a central leader who unites the country together, but there's still room for diversity within the country. So the rationale for the creation of this federal system is to promote unity in diversity in the country. Option D is the answer to this question. Question 15. Lawyers recruited into the civil service belongs to the A, professional class, B, administrative class, C, executive class, and D, clerical class. The answer to this question is option A, professional class. The professional class in the civil service is the class where the lawyers, the accountants, the doctors, and so on belong to. So it consists of people who are skilled in a particular field, who help to contribute to the policy implementation process within the country. So the civil service is divided into 4 classes. At the top, you have the administrative class, where you have the upper level management, those in charge of the entire ministry under their care. Then under that, we have the professional class. This is where the skilled professionals are. And then under that, we have the executive class or the middle level management. These people are in charge of running various departments within the ministry. And then we have the clerical class, those that are in charge of clerical duties such as typing, forwarding of important documents, and so on. So these are the classes we have under the civil service. To learn more about the civil service, you can watch our topic by topic video lessons on civil service. So you can go down to the link in the description below. It takes you to my school website where you can subscribe for the government topic by topic video lesson. But for this, the answer to this question is option A, professional class. Question 16. A naturalized citizen can lose his citizenship if found guilty of A, treason, B, evading of taxes, C, electoral violence, and D, loitering. The answer to this question is option A, treason. Treason is the act of betraying one's own country. So if found guilty of betraying your country and you are a naturalized citizen, you can lose that citizenship. So this makes option A, treason, the answer to this question. Question 17. Shehu Shagari won the 1979 presidential election under A, GPN, B, NPN, C, NPP, and D, GNPP. So the answer to this question is option B, NPN. NPN, or the National Party of Nigeria, was the political party that won the presidential election that took place in 1979, the election that transitioned Nigeria from military rule to civilian rule. So Shehu Shagari was the presidential candidate at the time and he won that election. Also in 1983, he won the election as well, but this did not take effect because he transitioned back to military rule under Major General Muhammadu Buhari. So this makes option B, NPN, the answer to this question. Question 18. A form of government where the powers of the state is determined by the citizens is A, monarchy, B, aristocracy, C, autocracy, and D, democracy. The answer to this question is option D, democracy. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So in such system, the people are the ones who determine who the leaders of the country should be, who should make decisions on behalf of the people. So it is a form of government whereby the powers of the state is determined by the citizens, by the people themselves. So a monarchy is a system where a king or a queen or an emperor rules that state. Then we also have aristocracy, which is a system where the best rule. Then autocracy is a system where the few control the affairs of the state. So it is the opposite of democracy. While democracy is where the majority rule, autocracy is where the few rule. So the answer to this question is democracy because it is a form of government in which the powers of the state is determined by the citizens, the people themselves. Option D is the answer to this question. Question 19. As a non-aligned state, Nigeria attended the second meeting of the non-aligned movement that took place in Cairo, Egypt in A, 1960, B, 1963, C, 1964, and D, 1965. The answer to this question is option C, 1964. So the non-aligned states are those states that belong to this non-aligned movement. The non-aligned movement was created in 1956 after some countries in the world saw a conflict between two different world power blocs, the capitalist bloc that was headed by the United States of America and the communist bloc that was headed by Russia. So this non-aligned movement, they decided not to align with any of these power blocs and they decided to form a group where they can discuss how they can move the entire world forward and not align with any of these ideologies. So it was created in 1956, but their second summit was held between 5th and 10th of October in 1964 in Cairo, Egypt, and it was hosted by the United Arab Emirates. So Nigeria attended this second summit in 1964. Option C is the answer to this question. Do you have a question? Please feel free to ask a question by going down to the link in the description below. This takes you to the Myschool website where you can ask your question and the solution will be provided to you within a short period of time. Now to question 20. The power of prerogative of mercy rests with the A, legislature, B, executive, C, judiciary, and D, national assembly. The answer to this question is option B, executive. So the power of prerogative of mercy is one of the means by which the executive checks on the judiciary. It is the power of granting presidential pardon to people who have been convicted of a crime by the judiciary. So the president of a country or the governor of a state has the power to grant presidential pardon to a particular person and to commute his or her sentence. So the power of prerogative of mercy rests with the executive. Option B is the answer to this question. Do you have a better explanation or solution to any of these questions? If you do, please go down to the comment section below, indicate the question number and the solution you'd like to share. Question 21. The judgment that ceded and transferred Bakassi legal title from Nigeria to Cameroon was delivered by A, ECOWAS Court of Justice, B, Court of Justice of the African Union, C, International Criminal Court, and D, International Court of Justice. The answer to this question is option D, International Court of Justice. The International Court of Justice is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, and it was this court that helped to deliver a judgment between Nigeria and Cameroon on who should own Bakassi Peninsula. So Bakassi Peninsula is a peninsula that is right there on the border between Nigeria and Cameroon. It has been a subject of conflict between Nigeria and Cameroon. Both of them laid claim to this particular land, and it almost led to an all-out conflict between the 1980s and 1990s. However, in the 1990s, the International Court of Justice granted a judgment that ceded and transferred Bakassi legal title from Nigeria to Cameroon. Eventually, in July 2006, Nigeria completely ceded this land to Cameroon. So option D, International Court of Justice, is the answer to this question. Question 22. Absence of a red tape is a merit of A, federal government structure, B, unitary structure, C, confederal structure, and D, republican structure. The answer to this question is option B, unitary structure. In the unitary system, power rests in the hands of the central government. There are no state or local government in this particular system. It is different from the federal system of governments where power is divided between the federal, state, and local governments. So in the unitary structure, there is the absence of red tape or bureaucracy. So red tape is the inefficiencies that come with the addition of extra steps when it comes to the implementation of certain policies within a state. So when you have a lot of government officials at different levels, before anything can be implemented within the society, it has to go through all 3 levels of government before it comes down to the common people. So as a result of that, there is a lot of red tape or bureaucracy in the federal structure. But in a unitary structure, when you just have the central government in charge, there is no bureaucracy, there is no red tape. Things get done very fast within that society. So option B, unitary structure, is the answer to this question. Question 23. ECOWAS was established in A, 1970, B, 1972, C, 1975, and D, 1976. The answer to this question is option C, 1975. ECOWAS, or the Economic Community of West African States, is an international organization that was created on the 28th of May 1975 by General Yakubu Gowon and President Eyadema of Togo. They both came together to create this international organization that consisted of the countries within the West African region. They came together in 1975, and the administrative headquarters is in Abuja, while the financial headquarters is in Lomé, Togo. So this makes option C, 1975, the answer to this question. Question 24. The Nigerian Civil War was fought during the military regime of A, Agoyi Ironsi, B, Yakubu Gowon, C, Murtala Mohammed, and D, Olusegun Obasanjo. The answer to this question is option B, Yakubu Gowon. So the Nigerian Civil War took place during the military regime of General Yakubu Gowon. His military regime was between 1966 and 1975, and the Nigerian Civil War took place between 1967 and 1970. So the Nigerian Civil War was the war that was between the federal government in Nigeria and the Biafran people. That is the eastern region of Nigeria at the time. So option B, Yakubu Gowon, is the answer to this question. Question 25. The rule of law is an essential ingredient of A, democracy, B, aristocracy, C, monarchy, and D, autocracy. The answer to this question is option A, democracy. Again, democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So the people are very important in this particular system of government. And in order for the people not to be abused by the leaders who have been chosen by them, the rule of law has to take effect within that society. The rule of law is the rule that nobody is above the law, not even the leaders who have been chosen to rule the people. So the rule of law is very essential in a democratic society in order that the people can be allowed to exercise their rights within that society, and their rights cannot be violated by the leaders who are in power. So option A, democracy, is the answer to this question. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, please do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly tap on the notification bell to get informed as soon as we release the next videos.